Anyway, the other thing I wanted to ask you about is, I mean, there's a couple of things because obviously you're still active in Hungary as well, right? From time to hey, hang on.
Yeah.
So I was gonna bring this up because I've seen, not that by complete coincidence, I see this poster for this romantic musical feature film, and I'm like, hang on a minute, I know who this is. So I'm watching the trailer with you, and I'm like, this is
My
glorious.
God.
So you
Yeah,
did
that
a
was 5 years ago.
that was 5 years ago. Okay, so you at that time were you still going back to Hungary, or are you still?
I'm still doing that. So it came in a way that I was still working at the Japanese restaurant, and this casting director phoned me. I know her, and I knew that if she calls me, that's a role, that's important, that's a casting. So I wasn't supposed to carry a phone, but I was like literally just doing it underneath
Yes.
the bar.
Sorry to all the restaurants that say, actors are not supposed to carry their phones, but in this day and age, you gotta have it with you for things like that. Your
Yeah,
agent will not call you out of hours. They will literally be in the middle of the shift of like, hey, Silas, so audition.
exactly. And that was like that. And they were already like at the final round. So I asked, okay, what's the deadline? And they told me yesterday. So I was like, okay, then actually I'm not feeling well. Can I go home? And I went home and did the audition. Um, so I
Really?
yeah, yeah, because it was the lead of a movie. And I was like, yeah, well, I can lie for that.
I'm
And
pulling
I
in a
did.
sickie, sorry. For a lead of a
Yeah.
film, yeah. Just saying, Netflix, if you get in touch, I will be sick all month. Oh my god, you have no idea. The doctor's letter I will produce.
Yeah, I never played my, hey, you said that this job is flexible card, except for that. But I didn't want to risk of them saying that no, you can't go. And I knew I needed to learn the lines and everything. Anyway, so I sent my audition, and they told me to buy a ticket to go home for a callback. And I was like, okay, but can we do like a Zoom call with the director? Because maybe he doesn't like me in person. And we had that, but basically they just asked me, okay, when can I actually fly home?
Oh
And that
wow.
was such a rush that I got the book. I was reading the book on the airplane, and I was like, I had the feeling that I can do anything. So I was in a really good place to go into the audition, because literally from the airport I went to the casting room, and I needed to sing and everything, and they put me together with the actor, and it was very, very fast, and I didn't sleep for 2 days waiting for for the answer. And then they told me that I got the role, and I was like, oh my god.
Thank you, Jesus.
Yeah. So that we were shooting that 5 years ago, it came out 4 years ago, something like that.
Yeah, yeah, no, because I saw this on Facebook. Somebody posted something and it came up, and I was like, I know that person. So I immediately looked up the trailer for it. I was like, oh, but
Yeah.
yeah. So you just feel romantic comedy musical. Was that anything? Was that a special experience compared to other stuff?
Yes, because it wasn't really on my like bucket list.
Mm,
When they, oh, I would love to do this or that, but I was actually really wanted to do something like this. I just never really vocalized it. And also I had terrible experience with my like singing auditions
mm.
a few years back, and I had the feeling that I'm not going to be able to do that again. I'm not a singer. I'm not trained in musical theater, but it wasn't really like that. And I liked the music, liked everything, and I was like, okay, I'm just going to go for it. And I wasn't nervous at all, and I think that definitely helped. And even the filming, obviously, that was a lot of. It was very complex technically, singing with a headset, and it was like singing in rain, and then 4 in the morning, try to spice yourself up. It's like you're really tired, and it's 4 in the morning, you have 2 hours to pull this together because the sun's going to come up, and then you have to be, this is like your money shot. That's the emotional song, and that you have to push through. I loved every moment of it, really.
Yeah, because I just had this revelation and just like people don't realize how much, like, movies are already complicated, right? Just all the
Yeah.
moving parts. When it comes to singing, dancing, like same with fight choreography, like things like this to capture and for it to work. Yeah, the editor can do some magic, but
Oh, Lord.
the stuff still has to be there. Like it's not like, okay, yeah, we're done with this, thanks. No, you have to hit marks on specific, like, as you said with music, it's like a whole different ballgame. Did you do your own singing, by the way, for the film?
Yeah, of course.
And they used your voice for the singing as well.
Yeah.
Cool, because I'm only asking
And
because that's another thing people don't even realize.
yeah. And also for one of the songs, they required a not a different technique, but they had an idea how they wanted the song really chesty,
Mm-hmm.
really, really gritty and earthy. And it required some kind of different singing technique so it won't hurt my voice. So they sent me to a voice teacher, and we worked on that particular song. And I think it really worked, but
Mm.
it's just so strange to listen to it because I don't really sound like that. And I think it sounds different than my other songs in the film.
Interesting, interesting.
But I love that I was able to do that. So they didn't just let me, okay, figure it out and do it. No, they found a teacher who could literally help me develop that technique.
Nice. So they were supporting you throughout the whole process.
Yeah,
So we're talking this, was it 1 month, 2 month shoot? What are we talking about?
3. Oh, I
Three
mean,
months.
I mean, 2 months shoot, but they they asked me to go there a month before, and I was like, yeah, of course, obviously you're gonna have singing lessons and the dance rehearsal and everything. I was sitting on my butt for 1 month because a production, they thought that they're going to have that, but they didn't. So we rehearsed every single choreography like 2 days before the shoot. So we didn't have any prep time in the end. And I was just sitting on my butt on Budapest waiting for, some things to happen.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah. And they were
yeah,
paying, I'm guessing, did they pay your accommodation and stuff? Or
they did.
so everything was covered full? Like the admin stuff was covered full?
Yeah. That was like I didn't have an agent back then, so I was dealing with these things, and the agreement was that they will pay for an accommodation. I was able to find something. I found something like a good deal. But yeah, it was fair. It was the person whom I don't know how you say in English how the position. It was like not because he wasn't like the production manager. He was a very, very decent person. So
Okay,
I
so
didn't
that.
have to haggle too much. It
Okay, well
wasn't.
that's ideal. That's what you want. You don't want to be like, hey guys, I have these expenses. You're like, yeah, you figure it out. And it's like,
Yeah.
no, no, don't play these games.
Yeah,
Uh,
but also if you're a lead in a production, that's also different than haggling for a
yeah,
guest role or
yeah,
something.
yeah, no, because yeah, that's 100% true. Uh, okay, and obviously you got to work with basically a Hungarian celebrity because you had Mr. Stoll there as well, unless I'm mistaken.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's really fun working with him.
okay, I've never met him as a person. I don't know what he's like. I only saw Mesha growing up, obviously, because we all had to watch it. That was like required viewing if you're a Hungarian teenager in the 2000s.
Hmm.
So yeah, I was like, oh, you work with Stoll. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it's a good memory. I liked it.
Good, good. And yeah, it's just, again, just by accident, I saw you perform. And I was like, oh, I need to ask about this. And coming back to London, did that open any doors for you? Or was it, again, like, okay, it's a lead role. We know what a lead role means in a musical. We also know what that means, but it's in Hungarian. So, like, okay.
It's like it never happened here. So nothing. I obviously I have a good. I was able to cut together a very good and strong singing reel. So
Mm.
whenever I am doing a casting for something like that is really good. And obviously it has a very high production value. So they can see that it's not just, from a short film or from from Shoria companies.
Yeah. So you can see it,
Yeah,
the
so
production
that
quality.
is good. And also, for example, for this Bulgarian, not Bulgarian, it's this American production, which I auditioned for the gladiator role, they specifically asked me if I carried a role in my career before. Not so because I have quite a few guest stars and day players and stuff, and because it's a Hungarian credit and they don't know the production company, they don't know the production, they didn't, even if I literally written there it's lead, but it's still, they read your resume and the information is just, it doesn't get through if it's not in English.
It means interesting. So I was curious about how, how they're treating it, but you're basically saying other than, like, they see it as you got showreel footage. You got really, really good showreel footage, but other than that, it means nothing.
Yeah, kind of.
Wow,
No, but
interesting.
here it did mean something because they were like, oh, okay, that's okay. Because the productions do need to know that you can handle a role which has an arc,
Yeah,
and then you can say that, yeah, I did this, and
yeah, of
these
course.
are proof. So it's like extracts from it if you want to see that. But it's not just in here. It didn't even open any role back in Hungary.
No?
No, but it's a different story. So that was, the critical review of the movie wasn't good. It was very like it's difficult, politics and the genre and many other things.
Yeah, I mean, that brings up a different conversation with dealing with criticism. And I don't mean just in the world of the internet, everyone's a critic, but you also have the professional critics, obviously. But you can create something that you're really proud of and you really enjoyed working on, and you don't, some projects when we do, you're like, well, this is not gonna be great, but I'm doing it. Okay, I'm doing the most I can with this project. There's those projects we've all heard about them. We've all had some experience like that. But sometimes you really, you're happy with it. And you're like, yeah, this has got a lot of soul, and I'm loving this. And then, the public might like it, and the critics hate it, or the critics love it, and the public does not care. You know, like how have you find that? How did you deal with that specific just
Yeah,
dynamic?
this scenario, critics hated it, public loved it, but still the critics were very harsh. I was fortunate in a way that even in the critics I didn't get any. I got quite good critics
Mm,
even from the shitstorm, which was okay. But I think there was a point when I was like, I need to shut down and not read them,
no,
because
yeah,
yeah, I rather ask opinions of, I have like a network of people whom I trust their opinion, and it doesn't contain my dad and my mum because
no, you
I
have
love
like,
them, and I don't think that they can be objectives, although they do they do form their opinion really carefully, really respectfully. If it's something they think that, oh yeah, it was good, but still, your relatives are usually not the
well,
people you would know about these
yeah. I mean,
things.
it's unless you have someone who's in the industry and is a professional. Like, you have to have a very specific mindset and the knowledge and the background to be able to give, as a family member, objective criticism and actionable criticism. Like things that I can actually use. Like, it's valid and yeah, it makes a difference.
Yeah. And also, since acting school, we always had recordings of our performances, and not just the performances, even the basic exams like singing
Mm.
showcase or the movement classes and everything. And I went to the library, I asked for the footage, and sit in front of my laptop like this,
No.
watching myself back. And it's like, even, listening to your
Mm.
own voice. It's very similar. You hate listening back to your voice because it's a voice you don't really recognize. And this is how it is when you watch yourself back. It's just awful at the beginning, because then you really got used to uh, your habits, your um,
Your
I don't know,
mannerisms, the little things that you,
mannerism and the pattern. And I think
the
it's
little ticks that we have.
incredibly, incredibly useful. And I think that I have a very healthy critical view of myself. And it's not about, oh my God, how's my hair and I look awful and everything. I don't care about this stuff, but I can judge my acting because I've seen everything. I've seen my worst shit. I've seen some of my highs, some of my best moments, and I've saw a lot of average stuff. So I know where to place myself when I watch myself back.
Yeah. So what you're saying that you've cultivated a somewhat as objective as one can be, but a somewhat, as you said, healthy critic. Because it doesn't happen overnight. In the beginning, you're like, oh, and then you get better, and then you're like, oh, I wish this was better, but then you've got, you literally have your entire life's work to measure this last performance against. So, in some ways, you have to become your own best critic.
Yeah. And also you become familiar with the concept that, hey, that's you, that's what it is. And yeah, you just have to deal with that fact that that's your face, that's what you do.
Yeah, no, I mean that's fair. Yeah, it's yeah, a lot of life is making peace with stuff. That like, yeah, this is what it is. It's not gonna get better.
Yeah.
And now I'm gonna have to run with this. I'm gonna make the most of this. And guess what? A lot of times it actually works out to be amazing. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's okay. That's fair. It just occurred to me, yeah, that you must have had a very interesting experience doing that in Hungary. Um,